Three Colors is a movie trilogy from the early 1990s, written and directed by the Polish director Krzysztof Kieslowski. There are three independent plots that tell three different stories in France, Poland, and Switzerland. The three of them are about common people overcoming internal and social conflicts. They are called Bleu, Blanc, and Rouge, according to the colors of the French flag, and each one of them is related to each of the three political ideals of the French Republic: liberty, equality, and fraternity. The first of them, Bleu, is a story about a woman called Julie, that during the first minutes of the movie loses her daughter and husband in a car accident. Her husband's loss was cried by all Europe, as he was composing a piece celebrating European unity. Terribly depressed, after she is released from the hospital, Julie decides to clear up everything from their old house and go without telling anyone to an apartment in Paris, taking with her nothing but a blue chandelier that could have belonged to her daughter. Once in her new life, she has to confront elements from her past that she didn't want to remember, such as her husband's and daughter's death, the discovery of her husband's mistress who is carrying Julie's husband's child, her new friend that is an exotic dancer, and finishing with another composer that is in love with her, her husband's last commission. This movie's subject is liberty, not social or political, but emotional freedom from her bound to the past. The second one, White, is a story about a couple of a Polish hairdresser named Carol and a French woman called Dominique that get divorced in the first minutes of the movie because she wants, kicking him out of her life and properties with nothing but a suitcase with his diplomas. He has no money or passport. While he is busking in the subway, he meets with another Polish man that help him to run out of France inside the suitcase. Back in Poland, he starts up his life, making a lot of businesses and starting a company with the man that helped him to go out of Poland. Once he has enough money and power, he decides to make up his own debt in order to bring his wife to Poland, where he was expecting her with a big surprise. The theme of this movie is equality, as both end up playing equally with each other, in contrast with the movies Blue and Red, that are mostly about inner problems and self-overcoming. This movie uses, in a very subtle way, comedy. The third one, Red, is a story about a girl called Valentine in Geneva, Switzerland, that maintains a long-distance relationship with a guy in London. During the movie, she happens to run over a dog, injuring it severely. She takes it back to the address that it has written in a tag tied to its neck. Once in the owner's house, she finds a lonely man that tells her to go away and do whatever she wants with the dog. So she takes it to the vet, where they heal it, and tell Valentine that the dog is pregnant. During the next day, she receives money from someone anonymously, so she goes and visits the dog's owner that sent the money for the vet. The old man turns to be a retired judge that spies his neighbors while listening to their telephone calls. The judge and Valentine start getting in touch and forming a big bond. While both of them overcome some difficulties on their lives, Valentine as a fashion model and the retired judge confessing what he has been doing. At the end of the movie, she decides to visit her boyfriend in England, taking a ferry through the English Channel, as the judge recommended. This movie's theme is fraternity, and the main characters build up during the movie a close friendship, and the characters show themselves to be very fraternal. Now, the three movies are independent stories, but at the end of all of them, you realize the final connections between the three of them. At the end of Red, the ferry where Valentine gets on to go to England has a very big accident in which there are very few survivors. There is a moment where you understand that the three movies are the individual stories of each one of the survivors before the ferry accident, making the trilogy an example of hyperlink cinema. Also, the three movies are related because in some moments of the movie, the characters go to the same courtroom in Paris. And they share, in a moment of each movie, a different elder person recycling bottles. In Blue, Julie doesn't even notice the woman recycling Remembering Liberty. In white, Carol notices how an old man can't throw the bottles to the recycle bin, and he just looks at him and do nothing, in spirit of equality. And finally, in red, Valentine helps an old woman to recycle her bottle in spirit of fraternity's solidarity. In more artistical terms, these movies uses a lot of elements of the color they are representing, and also music composed by Sneeuwwitje Preisner plays a very important role for the development of the plot. Especially in Blue, some scenes wouldn't have any sense if it was not for the music. Here are some examples of this.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
In the last clip, we were able to see the use of the color blue in all the scene, and how the music creates a whole atmosphere that wouldn't exist without it. Now, in the next scene, we are going to see only the use of the color blue, without any music. The chandelier of the last scene is actually the only thing that Julie takes to her new apartment in Paris, the only object that binds her to her past. The scene that we've just watched is a great example of how the music interacts with the movie. The last scene that I'm going to show you now is another important moment where Julie decides to destroy her husband's last work, the cause of the unification of Europe. Thank you for your attention.
J'ai pensé qu'il valait mieux attendre une décision. Vous avez bien fait. Beaucoup de corrections? Pas plus que d'habitude. C'est très beau. J'aime beaucoup ce cœur. Oui.